I sit reading in the library after school, turning page after page, barely registering the words written on each out of sheer boredom. With my cheek resting in my hand, I can't help noticing the slightly rough feeling against my palm. It won't be long before I'll need to get a razor. Giving up on reading, I simply let my head drop onto the book in front of me. Things have quieted down considerably since Hanako began attending school again. When she first returned to class, nothing was said nor done that wasn't part of the usual routine, and it's been the same way since. Neither of us desired to bring up her accident, so there simply wasn't any point in pursuing it. Thus, a few days went by, the daily grind continuing just as it had before. It's only natural that my mind would wander to other places, and more importantly, other people. The lily-shaped hole in the daily life of Hanako and me has been pretty noticeable for a while now. I'd be pleased to say that this has allowed me time to refine just what my thoughts on her exactly are, but alas, I've had no such luck. It doesn't help that many attempts to do so have led to the troublesome topic of Iwanako. Every time my thoughts drift into that direction, I reflexively try to think about something else. Why did this have to happen now? I turn and look up at the source of the tentative voice coming from behind me. Oh, sorry, I say. I didn't mean to disturb anyone. That's not it, she says. Ah. I glance around the orange-tinted room, quickly realizing how silly my apology must have sounded. In the time I've spent thinking and lazing about in here, everyone's well and truly left. Library closing. If you don't want to go, I could keep it open a little longer. It's no trouble at all. Don't worry, I tell Yuko. I should get going anyways. Thanks. As I get up and begin to move off, I feel Yuko's eyes drilling into my back. Is there something wrong? You look depressed. Are you okay? Yuko nervously twists her fingers as she says this, unsure whether she's overstepping her boundaries or not. I really can't tell if she's more worried about my mood or about bothering me. Normally I just shrug it off and assure her that I'm fine, but my reflective mood gets the better of me. Despite being staff, she really doesn't feel as much like an authority figure as the others. I tell her, it's just, I guess the best term for it would be relationship problems. Oh, I'm not too good with that kind of thing. My only relationship ended a bit abruptly. But if you want to talk about it, I could listen, I think. Now I kind of feel bad for bringing it up. She's not that old, though, so at least she has a good chance of finding another partner. It isn't like we're in a bad situation right now, I explained to her. We have spent many days together as friends, sometimes going out to do stuff, that kind of thing. But I'm starting to want to do more for her, learn more about her, and be with her more. I'm not sure whether it's actual love or not, though, and our friendship as it stands is enjoyable. You shouldn't let that stop you. Ah, sorry. How to say this? I think that it's nice that you have a good friendship, but school is going to end eventually. Do you think you'll be fine with not knowing if you could have gone further after you graduated? I think a bit. I guess that's the crux of the problem. I really have no idea what the answer to that question is. Well, I can't really help there. What your true feelings are is something you have to decide for yourself. But I think if you do love her, you should definitely say something. After thinking about it really hard, I decided that even though my relationship didn't work out, it's still better that way than never knowing if I might have or not. I never expected Yuko to sound so wise. It only makes sense that, with more life experience than I, she'd have a better idea about this. While I suppose not very much was actually answered, talking to her has helped get it off my chest, and I have no doubt that I should confess if I really do like Lilly. I give a slightly frustrated sigh. If only reading so much actually helped when it comes to situations like this. She gives a girlish giggle, which only reinforces my view of her as being different from the usual staff here. In the end, it all comes down to what will happen after school finishes once again. Considering what happened before I came to Yamaku, it feels like being asked to keep up with a field of runners, despite having started from a dozen yards behind them. It's just one more motive to move on from the past. The last thing I need right now is to get too caught up in that and getting homesick while I'm at it. Once again, I find myself calling Lilly. My phone bill is going to be horrific considering this is international. But it's worth it. I don't only want to smooth over her feelings from the last time I called, I genuinely want to talk to her again. When the phone finally picks up, I easily recognize the voice on the other end. Sato. Hello, Mrs. Sato. May I, speak? Damn. I've forgotten how the rest is supposed to go. It's not encouraging to forget such a small amount of words, even if I didn't spend that long trying to memorize them. May I speak with Lilly, please? Hello again, Hisao. Are you teaching yourself English? Just a little. I don't think I'm too good at languages in general. Oh, don't say that. Your pronunciation was good. I'll get Lilly for you. Just wait a moment. I obediently wait as she goes off in search of Lilly, the other end going silent. Eventually, a much more awake-sounding Lilly than last time answers, the time over there being past noon by now. Hisao, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Hi. Good afternoon. Sorry for taking so long. I was outside in the garden. Gardening, I ask? Unfortunately, I found I'm no good at it, so I just smell the flowers. I think my fingers appreciate it more. I take it Hanako's recovered a bit. Yeah, I just made sure she was eating, and eventually she righted herself. Thanks for the help the other day. I don't think I was really that much help. The main thing is that she's better, though. True, I say. How's life over there, then? It sounds like you've been living in nothing short of a mansion. I wouldn't call it a mansion, but it is rather large, is obviously what she wants to say, though modesty stops her. I'm a little envious, but it is her holiday. It's a nice house to stay in, though, she continues. There's a beach near here, too, which Akira's especially fond of. She's a swimmer? She's constantly dragging me there to have swimming competitions, which she wins every time. Lilly doesn't strike me as very athletic at all, so not being adept at swimming seems logical enough. The fastest I've ever seen her move is her understandably relaxed pace during her walks to and from the suburbs down the hill from the school. It makes the image of her swimming hard to imagine. The beaches there must look nice, I tell her. They'd be less crowded than the ones around here, at least. Indeed. Akira says the area around here looks beautiful because it's so far outside the city. I only realize what I say after I've said it, but it doesn't bother her at all. It's still easy to forget that she can't see when she's not around, despite the time we've been friends. That said, she continues, the local accent sometimes makes communication a bit hard. It's a constant reminder that this isn't home. While the fact that she doesn't consider her parents' residence to be her home makes good sense, it makes me realize that I can't really answer whether the same goes for me. Graduation from Yamaku is distant enough to be difficult to view objectively, and I've spent so much time in this small room. I've come to accept the dormitory as my new home surprisingly quickly. I tell her, I guess that would be hard to deal with. Is your knowledge of English holding up? Thankfully. I may be fluent, but being in a position where I have to use it so often helps in curbing my Japanese accent, so it's been useful practice. I hear you're trying to teach yourself English? More like memorizing a few lines and failing even at that much, I admit. I'm really not cut out for learning another language. My admission of defeat draws an amused giggle. I believe that there are things one chooses to do in life, she says, and also things that are chosen for one to do in life. You can take comfort in the fact you're better than me in science and math, at least. All that's helped me is in making me Muto's star student. I wouldn't worry about it. They're useful skills for many jobs, right? That's what he tells me. His face veritably lit up when I said I'd probably go into a career involving either. We both share a warm laugh at the events that have befallen each other on opposite sides of the world. It's nice and reminds me of our simple small talk that I've been missing since she left. As each of us waits for the other to begin speaking, I decide to push ahead with my feelings. I can feel my throat tightening slightly. I miss you. The silence on the other end of the phone tells me she's given the words their due weight, but as it goes on, I can't help feeling more and more apprehensive. Thankfully, the silence ends almost as quickly as it had begun. I miss you too, Hisao. Goodbye. Goodbye, Lily. Once again, the phone is hung up simply and without any further ado. That light, tentative, almost shy voice, her warm and soft tone. I'd simply be lying to myself if I were to say that I don't recognize this feeling for what it is. With thoughts of Lily dancing on my mind, I start anticipating her return. Today has been a most excellent day. So Hanako's crisis comes to an end. We just make sure that she's fed and see about leaving her alone to work through it on her own. And she takes a couple of days and starts attending class. Nothing is said. Everything reverts back to normal. That part of the story basically works its way out just like it did in the Hanako story, other than the fact that we don't have the emotional attachment this time. We have the friendship love, that kind of thing, the friendship with her and all, and caring for her as a friend of ourself and as of Lily. But we don't have the romantic love this time, so there's no path going on there. Oh, I've got to fix her and all. It's like, okay, so she did work out this by herself. Basically treat her essentially as how Lily would have treated her and did treat her. So we're sitting in the library and we're pondering about our relationship and all and what we're going to do about Lily and everything. And Yuko gives us some very wise advice, which is good to see. I have said before, I so wish Yuko was a character in this, or that somebody would make a game with her character going on, because she is just so cute and so charming in a neurotic sort of manner. She would have been a great relationship choice as well. Um, but she talks about that. The only thing is, I also think it's funny is that you get the plane right where he talks about she's not that old. She's still got a chance to get a relationship again. And he talks a little bit later about how she's so older. All her experience must have made her more to talk about than what we know and all. And it's like just the perspective thing that here he is 18, and Yuko, she's a young lady, recent grad and all that, and she's talking about wanting to go to college, so she's obviously in her young 20s. I would say 24, 25 at the absolute oldest. And here he is considering her, well, she's not that much older. There's still a chance for her. Just funny to see. But talking to her has cemented our resolve that we need to talk to Lily about how we're feeling. That yes, we have a good friendship and all, but maybe there's something more there, and maybe that's what our feelings are. And so we do call her up and briefly chat about Hanako, but then sit and have one of those long, just small talk conversations that he talks about. And at the end, he finally screws up his courage. And while he doesn't confess to her, he does say, he starts out with the we and then changes it to I miss you. And kind of makes it clear what his feelings are. And she does as well, as he says the softness and tone of warmth of her voice when she says, I miss you too, Hasao. So there we go. So without saying it, they've kind of said it, but we still haven't had the true confessions yet. So we're there, and interestingly enough, this is essentially where the Hanako story ends. Um, I don't mean as in she won't be in this anymore, but in Hanako's path, if you remember, she has her crisis, and then we have our episode with her, and then we have the breakdown in the park and the confessions to each other, and it all happens right before Lily comes back. And in the next episode, that's going to be about Lily returning to school. And so we've essentially reached the part where Hanako's story ended. And it's interesting to see that. It's like what I've talked about before. In Lily's path here, we've still got, this is only the third act. I think we're in the middle of the third act, maybe. So we've still got the rest of the third act to go, and then the fourth act beyond that. And it goes on to what I talked about, in the fan fictions that you see, that so many of them revolve around Hanako. Well, number one, just because her particular character and all, there's so many people out there who kind of want to do like Hisao, and we want to white knight her and take care of her, and treat her like a precious little thing, which we shouldn't do because she does have a spine and everything. But also the fact that her story ends basically with the confession. They confess to each other, and bam, the story's over, and there's still months left in school and all. You never get to see how it proceeds, like right here. You never get to see how things work out like they do with Emmy. You never get to see how things work out like they do with Lily. It's just, okay, they confess, they love each other, boom, story over. So it helps to explain why so many people write fan fictions about Hanako going on about, well, and this is what happened next. So there you go. Next time we come back, we will see what happens on Lily's return.